This is AnimeCons TV.
We're your best source for reports and discussions about AnimeCons and other fan conventions. I'm Shiva.
I'm Sketch.
Every month, AnimeCons TV takes a break from our regular episodes to respond to your comments and questions.
Let's start off with the home of millions of Russian trollbots, Twitter.
In response to the final Kraken Con, Lacuna Craft said, "I had no idea the con was ending this year, but I am not surprised, sadly. AOD died this year as well, and it really sucks. But like you said, the Bay Area is just a hard place to run a mid-sized event. You were either huge or tiny, no in-between." Sad face.
No in-betweens.
I know. We have a note from Patrick that another Bay Area anime con that didn't come back for 2018 is AOD. Seems to be a nationwide trend of many cons not returning for 2017 or 2018. And I'm not sure how old some of these conventions have been, but I feel like there is kind of an oversaturation. We're going to see some of these fall off at some point.
Yeah, we've had an oversaturation for a few years now, and I mean, good on you for having the good fight, but if you have a fundamental problem and you don't fix it, you're gonna...
There are other options people can go.
Yeah,
exactly.
Alright, let's see, move on here. Okay, on YouTube, in response to our tribute to Kraken Con following their final convention, Joe James Cat said, "Thank you, Patrick and Shannon, for a beautiful send-off of Kraken Con. The warmth of the people just shined through the video. The background music was perfect. It's really a sad moment when a cultural tradition of one of the communities ends. Farewell, Kraken Con." Well, that's a good send-off,
Patrick.
Too. All right.
Mecha Boy Doss wrote in response to Doug's autograph tips. Major tip, wear comfortable shoes. You will be standing in the line for a long period of time and it can be rough on your feet. If you know you're going to be standing in line in one place for a long time, I highly recommend picking up a walk stool so you can sit down while waiting. Those are pretty cool. They have like the strap, like I think they're kind of like those little things you just flip out.
I've
seen different versions of them. I've seen ones that are almost like a milk stool.
Some of them actually behave kind of like a walking cane, or even just it looks like an umbrella, but just folds out into a tripod. You know,
that's a pretty cool idea.
They got them out there. Go to Amazon.
Regarding the 1 hour rule, never listen to staff direction to disperse. Just don't do it. Move back to a comfortable distance, but by no means leave the area. If you do, then other people will just move in and take your place. When the line opens, you'll be stuck near the back if you get in at all. Yes, it's rude and it's disrespectful, but if you want the autograph, then you need to get ahead of the mob. Okay, I've seen this for panels too, honestly, and it's a difficult thing to do because you should follow the direction of the staffers. But I know, for instance, one of the reasons we got in to see someone like Patrick Stewart was because we milled around the area and they ended up letting people in early, and if we had left, then we wouldn't have gotten in. So I think this is a delicate, like, gray area where if someone is asking you to move, there is a reason that you need to move. However, there are ways to follow instructions and not completely leave the area like the person said. So maybe they're saying that you need to disperse, which means not form this line and you should be listening to them. But maybe there's a place out of the way where you're not standing and blocking traffic, where you can still kind of observe what's going on. And if something happens, like they start letting people in early, you can jump in. So again, you don't want to not follow directions because there are usually reasons they're telling you to move. But yeah, we've seen that happen too.
Yeah, it's like, oh, look at this wall.
Yeah,
this beautiful wall right here.
Well,
yeah.
This is great.
I'm not in the way of anybody, and I'm just looking at this wall.
Yeah.
No, personal discretion, but also try to just be respectful to the staff.
Right.
They got a hard weekend enough.
You
continue.
also continue. Dear staff, please stop doing the 1 hour rule. It's stupid and ineffective and doesn't work, and all you're doing is creating giant logjam in front of the autograph area, and it's unsafe because people will mob lines once you open it up. Let people line up earlier, space is available. You're never going to get people not to camp in the area, and for the love of God, do not like the one Otakon staffer did this year, where a group of people is waiting in one spot and the line gets open in another spot in the other end of the area, so they all start stampeding over. Any idiot could have anticipated what happened. So some of this is a two-pronged problem, right? Which is that sometimes there's not good communication with staffers, which sounds like it might have happened in this case. Other times it's one of those things, like when you're at like a concert and one person stands up and so they block your view, and it would solve the problem if that person sat down, but instead everybody else has to stand up to look around them, and it causes like a domino effect. This is kind of what happens. Like if everybody legitimately dispersed when people told them to, then everybody could line up at the right time and there wouldn't be a problem. The problem is all it takes is a few people not following that rule to make everybody be like, well, that's not fair. I'm not going to either. And it's kind of like a mob. Yeah. So again, this kind of goes back. They have to do the 1 hour rule, and the reason they have to do it is because if they didn't put a limit as to when you could line up for something, some event could be at 4 p.m. and people are lining up at 8 a.m. and completely clogging the convention space, right? They have to have some kind of limitation on when you can stand there and squat your place. Otherwise, it's going to be like 4th of July at the Boston Pops, and you have to be there at 4 a.m. and like
2 days before.
Like 2 days before now to sit to your spot. I mean, that gets ridiculous, and you're not enjoying your convention. You're literally just standing in a line. They're trying to do it for you. Now, the fact that people don't follow the rules is part of the problem. So I think that the convention doesn't really have a choice to do away with that rule. However, again, I think there is a reasonable amount of time when you could probably be milling about the area, but not squatting a place. If you're afraid. Again, it's a gray area and it's a hard call to make.
Now, to come from the convention side of the view, there's multiple factors for them. One, they have to deal with fire code, which means if there's a crowd and there's a fire, now you have a block area too. So they're looking into that. The other thing is the logistics of their actual convention center or hotel. They might not be able to put people anywhere, so they have to do it in a timely manner that way in order to just control the crowds.
Facilitate other people coming out.
And the other thing is, like, this autograph panel is probably next to, let's say, an event panel, and they have to time it with that for people coming in and out. So you have to be a little forgiving, and I understand the frustration, but totally. It's the whole gray area where you follow instructions and kind of do your thing. You got to find a happy medium in that, because it is for the betterment of everybody if you kind of just go with the flow and do your best to get your spot.
I'll be a good example where I probably should have done a little more gray area this year. I was at Dragon Con and I was told that the line was down the street, whatever, but it was probably already full and don't even bother. And so we didn't bother. And I should have just waited till the panel started and checked because there were actually seats available. So that was on me for not following up and not just listening and believing what someone told me. But I think that, again, it's a gray area, and it's also what are you willing to do? Yeah. How important is this autograph to you or this panel or whatever? There's never a perfect solution to this unless everybody followed the rules, which is never going to happen.
Yeah. So.
Okay. It's hard. It's a hard one.
All right. And Rizzy had some people checking out our archives and looking at some really old episodes.
Nice.
Thank you.
You look so young, man.
In response to our pop talk with Warbler, that we shot in 2013, Alexander IP commented, could have made a better job using SolidWorks. I'm assuming he's really talking about using the SolidWorks 3D design software than 3D printing as our web.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't think that was available back then. Warbler was brand new at the time. Yeah, but I'd love to see more 3D printing options. I think that's really cool.
Well, in my own meager experience, it's interesting to get into, and I haven't had any fruition of my own. But I have gone through Etsy and just searched 3D print, and they have 3D printed everything. So if you actually go 3D printed props, I actually found somebody in Mexico City who actually makes a 3D prop from an anime that I've always wanted to cosplay from over 10 years ago, and the major problem was I couldn't figure out the gun, and he actually has a fully, working 3D print. I'm like, work in terms of prop etiquette for a convention, and I'm just like, oh wow. So honestly, the people are going out and doing it because it costs nothing for them to actually make the 3D prop, and then they only charge you when they actually have to put it through the machine. So
and I even
things have changed on that.
As cool as it is, people are going back and watching our old stuff. I mean, that we would redo that Warbler totally different now. 5 years later, with a lot more experience than we did. That was the first time we ever used it.
I don't use Warble the way I used to.
Well, plus there's like a million tutorials now on Warble, but that was kind of almost experimental at the time for us.
For us, yeah. I mean, it had only been around for a little bit. Not everyone was using it. Getting the Warbler as a supply was very hard. Now it's
there was only
easy.
That plain kind that wasn't black and clear. And
so a lot of things have happened since then. But we're glad that people are still interested in looking at our old stuff. So
absolutely, I still love that caution. TMR64 Studios commented on Doug Zenkai Con 2013 report, saying, after seeing Doug's Otakon Vegas report in this video, wow, he changes a lot. The Otakon Vegas report was in 2014. We've all changed.
We've all changed. Well, maybe not me.
How many years have we been doing this podcast now?
I think we hit 10.
Yeah. Yeah, we've gone from our 20s to like fully middle-aged people at this point.
Or 10th season, yeah.
Yeah.
Those good old days in that basement.
In response to Patrick's episodes from 2015 on starting a convention, No Life Boy said,
No,
don't start it. Let's hope it doesn't turn out like DashCon 2014. That's why we say no.
Alright. Okay, and now let's take a look at all the conventions that are coming up through the end of 2018 as found on fancons.com.
End of the season. Coming up on AnimeCons TV, next week Doug shares more autograph tips, but they're tips for staff this time.
We've also had our final feedback episode of 2018 coming up right before Thanksgiving, so leave those comments and get those voicemails in before November 16th, November 16th, so we'll have a chance to answer them.
Also, in the interest of our viewers, Svet's new book, Crush, is available on October 30th! Pre-order it today. I know we will. We need to do that.
Do it.
Do it. Okay. If you're in the US, get out and vote on November 6th. Yes, vote.
Yes.
Vote. No complaining if you don't vote.
All right. And send us your feedback. We love hearing from our viewers, so we need to hear from you before our next feedback episode.
If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment on one of our videos.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Leave us a voicemail at 762-ADEQUATE or 762-233-7828.
You can also text that number.
And you can email us at podcast@animecons.tv.
And tell your friends. New episodes are every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific.
We post about them on Facebook and Twitter, so please share or retweet those links or share our YouTube video directly.
And tell your friends about us, and such an easy thing to do, and it really helps us out.
It does.
And last, subscribe!
You can subscribe for free by searching AnimeCon TV on YouTube.
Or subscribe on iTunes at itunes.animecons.tv.
Or watch on our site at animecons.tv.
And we're also on the Unlocked app for iOS, unlocked.animecons.tv.
Is that what the kids use now? I have no idea what that is.
I'm old.
I'm old. What's the Snapchat?
But again, you can find us on all major social media. The Facebook, the Twitter, the Snapchat, the Instagram.
Yep, you can also find Sketch and I on Facebook at Shiva Cosplay and Sketch Cosplay, and we're also on Instagram. See you next time.